synced up. So, welcome ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Dark Paladin 111, with my friend today, Iridian, who's got a really gay named character as well as Iridian. And basically what we're going to do today is, this is the second video in a series that I like to call I'm Bored, I'm Going to Play WoW, and I'm Bad at PvP, so let's do some old raids. It will be across the series of 4 characters. This is my lowest one, he used to be my main, Sicate, a level 83 Blood Elf Rogue. Used to be my main, got very bored in Mr. Pandaria and stopped playing. Today we're outside the infamous Molten Core. Let's go kill a bitch. Onwards. So basically today I'm trying to get the Perdition's Blade, one of my nicest, favoritist looking daggers. Iridian, what are you trying to get today? Nothing! Just along for the ride. Take me to the core. So, as I say, this is my lowest character. I haven't done a lot of soloing on her, but I really want the old... we're not really doing soloing, I suppose, when there's 2 of us. But I really want the daggers, and so I don't give a shit. So we're going to see how badly we potentially die, because, you know, I'm very undergeared, which you'll see in the previous video, and Iridian's bad at the game. Onwards. Motherfucker. Alright, yeah, alright, cool. And as you can see, we are going to skip all of this trash by magic of editing. Lucifron is one of the 4 Flamewalker captains of Ragnaros, and he is also the first boss in Molten Core. Among the ranks of the Flamewalkers, overseers and their guards constantly jockey for power and higher status amongst the hierarchy of elementals, in hopes of gaining favour with Ragnaros. Lucifron is no exception. He has clashed with Gaineus on several occasions, particularly during their incarceration within the elemental plane. This rivalry has now extended to the Molten Core, where Lucifron quietly waits for his opportunity to capitalise on any weakness shown by the other Flame Walkers. Lucifron and his 2 Flame Walker protector guards can be found watching over the enormous corehound Magmadar, favoured pet of Ragnaros. A terrifying behemoth, composed of roiling magma and igneous rock. Magmadar serves as the origin of the corehounds that roam the earthen halls of Molten Core. Favoured amongst Ragnaros' pets, Magmadar is protected by the Flamewalker Lucifron and surrounded by vicious packs of ravenous hounds. It is said that while Ragnaros was imprisoned in the elemental plane, the Fire Lord would feed the remains of his captured enemies to the eagerly awaiting twin maws of Magmadar. As a result, the hound grew strong and loyal, and even now, Magmadar's savage ferocity remains uncontested. He lives within the Magmadar Cavern, guarding the Rune of Cress. Gehennis and his fellow Flamewalkers were extricated from the elemental plane by Ragnaros shortly after Thracian accidentally summoned the Fire Lord. Unlike the Fire Elementals, who are beings of pure flame, the Flamewalkers are elementals composed of flesh and blood. Gehenna resides near the bottom of the Fire Lord's elemental hierarchy and covets the power and station of his superiors. He is distrusted by all who serve with him, with the exception of his 2 loyal guards, who believe they may gain from their overseer's ascension. Gar is described as one of the lieutenants of Ragnaros who carried out the betrayal of Lord Thunderian, the Prince of Air, and otherwise referred to as the Windseeker. During the elemental sundering, Ragnaros sought to consume Thunderian, and did so by having his 2 lieutenants Baron Geddon and Gar perpetrate him. Thunderian, caught off guard, was utterly destroyed. Ragnaros almost completely consumed Thunderian's essence and stored the rest within a talisman of elemental binding. Ragnaros cleaved this talisman to 2 equal pieces, to which he assigned Baron Geddon and Gar. As one of the 2 chief lieutenants serving under Ragnaros, Gar plays a key role in the current success of the Fire Lord and his spreading influence. Gar, like Baron Geddon, holds half of the bindings of the Windseeker, which contain the remaining essence of Thunderian, Prince of Air. Tales say that after centuries of partnership, Geddon became suspicious of Gar and felt the elementals sought both halves of the talisman. Thus, relations between the 2 powers are strained. Both Gar and Baron Geddon draw their considerable might from the blazing roofs carved deep into the floor of Molten Core. Baron Geddon is one of the eldest of all fire elementals, and he has served under Ragnaros and been his right hand since the beginning of the War of the Titans. During one of the first battles against the then unknown Titans, Geddon was defeated and forced into a humiliating retreat. Ragnaros immediately demoted his commander, thinking that Geddon had been defeated by an inferior foe, since the old gods and the lieutenants had yet to meet a challenge. His replacement was the Flame Walker Major Domo Executus, who we will cover later in this video. Geddon was infuriated that a creature not purely of fire had replaced him, a noble among elementals. In an effort to regain his master's faith, Geddon planned the now legendary betrayal of Thunderian the Windseeker. In the midst of a great battle, Geddon separated the massive lightning elemental from his allies, and together with Gar and Ragnaros, they ambushed him in an effort to seal his power. Thunderian was a powerful foe, even to an elemental lieutenant such as Ragnaros, and the Fire Lord was unable to completely destroy him as he had hoped. The 3 did manage to seal the Windseeker away, however, and imprison his essence within the talisman known as the Bindings of the Windseeker. This was then broken into half, and each given to Gar and Geddon. One of them would keep one half safe, and the other half. It was always said that if the 2 halves were brought together, Thunderian might escape. However, this did not win Baron Geddon his place back at his master's side as he had wished. Now he just waits and bides his time, hoping to go strong enough to overthrow Major Domo Executus. He dwells within Blackrock Mountain with the rest of the fire elementals. However, as of late, he has managed to break free, and he can be found fighting members of Hyjal and the Guardian of the Hyjal at the Circle of Cinders within Mount Hyjal. Of all the Flamewalkers who followed Ragnaros into the world of Azeroth, Shiraz is the most talented in the realm of the arcane. He is aware that his colleague Baron Geddon suspects the elemental Gar of treachery. The conflict between Geddon and Gar suits Shiraz well. For in fact, it is Shiraz who seeks to possess both halves of the talisman of elemental binding, so that he may find a way to siphon its energies for his own use. Ragnaros is very likely aware of this underling, and his penchant for duplicity, when he split the talisman in half and entrusted the pieces to Geddon and Gar. He is an arcane-based Flamewalker, and he sits in the same area in Blackrock Cavern as Baron Geddon. The most feared soldiers of Ragnaros' elemental forces are the Molten Giants, and among them, Golemarg the Incinerator is unrivaled for his sheer brutality and savage efficiency. So absolute is the Molten Behemoth's power that he has 2 cowed core ragers, offspring of the colossal beast Magmadar, which he now uses as pets. For this affront he has earned Magmadar's eternal and unwavering ire, although the fearsome creature has yet to act on his savage impulses. Among the most favoured of the Flamewalkers, Sulfuron is the most terrifying herald of Ragnaros himself. From the eternal depths of Molten Core, the Harbinger commands Ambassador Flamelash and other lesser Flamewalkers in the outside world. Sulfuron keeps a close eye on Shiraz, believing that Shiraz seeks to betray Ragnaros and claim the talismans of the Windbinder. Flanked by 4 of the Fire Lord's most fervid priests, the Harbinger prepares for the day when the elemental Lord of Fire claims the world of Azeroth for his top of the elemental hierarchy, just beneath Ragnaros himself, resides Major Domo Executus. This Flamewalker gained his exalted status by proving to be nearly invincible in the battles that rage within the elemental plane. Rumour has it that Executus supplanted Baron Geddon, and the two have been rivals ever since. Although this rumour is yet to be confirmed, there is certainly no doubt that Ragnaros does not tolerate failure. Thus, the lesser Flamewalkers, and of course Baron Geddon himself, must eagerly await a misstep by Executus, anticipating their chance to vie for the coveted attention of the Flame Lord. Fire Lord and his brethren once held sway over the entirety of the world. As a servant of the old gods, he fought against the Titans for domination over the planet known as Azeroth. The victorious Titans banished him and his brethren to the elemental plane, there to remain imprisoned until the end of time. It was then, and there, that the brothers turned on each other. For 5 millennia, a battle was fought at the core of this world. It was during the elemental sundering that Ragnaros attacked Thunderian, Prince of Air. Thunderian was utterly defeated, and the Fire Lord feasted upon his essence. But unable to consume him entirely, he divided the remaining power into the Talisman of the Windseeker, and split it in twain, giving each half one to Baron Geddon and one to Gar. In the centre of a vast lake of fire in the elemental plane stands Sulfuron Keep, the home of Ragnaros. Until comparatively recently, he ruled his underground land with a molten iron fist. Around 300 years ago, the ambitious and ruthless Dark Iron clan initiated a war against their dwarven brethren, the Bronzebeard and the Wildhammer clan, thinking that they were about to unite the Dark Irons. During this War of Three Hammers, the Dark Iron dwarf leader named Thracian laid siege to the Bronzebeard capital city of Ironforge, while his wife Modgard attacked the Wildhammer capital of Grimbatol. Modgard was successful in her assault upon the Wildhammer dwarves, but Thracian proved less successful. The Bronzebeard dwarves repelled his attack and quickly dispatched aid to the Wildhammer dwarves. In a short time, the Dark Iron's fortunes took a turn for the worst, and they were pushed back to the city of Thracian, the Dark Iron dwarven home. Thracian, seeking to summon a supernatural minion that would turn the tide of war back to his favour, called upon the ancient powers sleeping beneath the world. To Thracian's surprise, and ultimately his own doom, the creature that emerged was more terrible than any nightmare anyone could have imagined. Now freed by Thracian's call, Ragnaros erupted into being again. Ragnaros' apocalyptic rebirth into Azeroth shattered the Red Ridge Mountains and created a raging volcano at the centre of the devastation. The volcano would forever be known as Blackrock Mountain. It was bordered as by an area that would soon be dubbed the Searing Gorge. To the north, and the burning steeps to the south. Though Thracian was killed by the forces he had unleashed, his surviving Dark Iron clan brethren were ultimately enslaved by Ragnaros and his elementals. Many Dark Iron dwarves remain within the lower areas of the mountain, especially in Blackrock depths, toiling away at the behest of Ragnaros and the Fire Lord's lieutenants. They worship Ragnaros, considering not only an elemental lord, but also an old god. Although he is only affiliated with the old gods. The Bronzebeards and Wildhammers, however, remain free. Witnessing the horrific devastation and the fires spreading across the southern mountain, the Bronzebeard's king, Muradon, and the Wildhammer, King Kardos, halted their armies and hastily turned back towards their kingdoms. Unwilling to face the awesome wrath of Ragnaros, now he lies at the bottom of that volcano in Azeroth, striving to find a way home, as well as a way to gather his strength once again so he can burn Azeroth in a cleansing fire and take it for his own. Meanwhile, in Sulfuron Keep and elsewhere across the Firelands, his elemental princes battle constantly for dominance. He and his dwarven minions took control of Blackrock Mountain's volcanic depths and made war on the orcs in the upper Blackrock Spire, which served as a seat of power for Netherion, the Black Dragon, son of Deathwing. Ragnaros was uncovered the secret to crafting life from stone and plans to build an army of unstoppable golems to aid him in conquering the whole of Blackrock Mountain. Some time has passed since then, and after being defeated in Molten Core several years later, Ragnaros was banished back to the elemental plane. He's now located in Sulfuron Keep, his seat of power within the Firelands. He and his armies will be launching a full-scale assault on Mount Hyjal, attempting to burn the now regrowing World Tree. It does appear for all intents and purposes that he has allied himself with Deathwing. Therefore, this would end his war against Netherion, and uniting them as a single army. He would be one of two elemental lords allied with Deathwing, the other being Alakir the Windlord. His assault on the World Tree is run by several of his lieutenants, notably Baron Geddon, as we mentioned earlier, assisting his troops in the Twilight Hammer clan and various members of the Twilight Dragonflight. According to a series of quests in Mount Hyjal, the assaults of Ragnaros were repulsed, with the help of some recently revived Eternals. and the guardians of Hyjal. One thing to note is when we fight him in the Firelands, if we were to fight him upon the normal difficulty, he retreats once he reaches 10% health. However, on heroic difficulty, we must make his health hit 0. Now, this normally isn't a big thing with bosses, as you know, it's a very common thing to reduce a boss's health to 0. However, it was mentioned by a Hamal rune totem that if Ragnaros was ever defeated in the Firelands, then he would truly be killed once and for all. Truly, we do not know if this great behemoth, this one of the 4 Fire Lords, has been defeated permanently. He could still be at large and be a threat to Azeroth once more. However, we beat him like a bitch in Molten Core and it's fun. Oh look, more leg plates. Mogthol's Hell. Lord Alexander's battle axe. We can go fuck ourselves, apparently. Well, no Perdition's blade. But, there you go. Alright, let's get a nice zoom in so I can do a little sign off. So, there we go, guys. That was us running through Molten Core, getting spanked about a bit, but, you know, to lols, look. A core hound's going to follow us home. Shut up, George. So, gentles and ladymen, this has been Dark Paladin 111, with my friend already, so known as George. Tune in next time, when we do some other stuff. Good night, and good luck, and as always, watch out for the walkers. Outro, outro, outro. This is where my outro would be if I had any artwork.